film it.
Yeah, Film Vault. Why are you talking? Yeah, Film Vault. Welcome everyone to the Film Vault. That's Anderson. I'm Bryan Bushbury, hosts for today. Oh, we got Flickfessions of a certain blue film. Takes place underwater, I assume. Given the title.
Blue Chippers.
That's right. Paterson, assigned to us by Mr. Tobias. Yes.
No, wrong. God, you get everything wrong. Pete Abeyta.
Oh, the topic. Yeah. Sorry.
Topic later this week.
You poisoned my mind. Right before the mic started, I'd be like, Mr. Tobias. I'm like,
it's written down.
I know.
So I was talking to Avery, not you.
It's written down. That's why we have show notes.
That's what I get.
That's what I'm paid for.
Avery.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Brian. Continue your rundown.
What else is there? Glass Onion will also be.
No.
That is right in front of me, written down.
I know. It needs to be erased. Okay, so let's just get this off my chest. I was excited to watch The Glass Onion, and I was looking forward to it, and I was foolishly checking Netflix all week long when I knew exactly when it was to be released, which is today. As though that offers which is today. I thought maybe somebody
some intern would fuck up.
Yes, exactly. Some new guy would push the wrong button. I thought that maybe I'd be lucky and get the East Coast 9 p.m. feed last night, and I was ready, and I had it carved out, and I got this thing that I'm still at the end of. And I am having a hard time keeping my eyes open past 8:30, 8:45.
Brutal.
And when I realized that it wasn't going to be till midnight that thing was going to. So,
midnight?
Yeah, I mean, so Brian assigned me a movie that was released
midnight
to me.
The 22nd? Weird. Okay, go ahead.
So I was planning on seeing it. If I could have gotten out to a theater, I could have gotten out to the theater to see something else. But look, I don't want to try and make excuses or anything, guys, but I'm already a little fragile pab as it is, and I deal with things. I deal with bouts of stuff here and there, and I get pretty down. And I think I was on the beginning of that.
Did you have a real bad case of the gout?
When I was out of town, towards the end of being out of town, I just started feeling it coming on. Which those of you who have dealt with it, you know what I'm talking about. You could feel it coming on, and then when I got home, I haven't really talked about it on this show, but I've talked about it ad nauseum on the After Disaster. But I dealt with a tragedy with one of my pets, my longest living pet, and it's been 2 weeks today, and I'm still not myself at all. I don't know if I'm also sick, but I'm having a really hard time doing anything or finding joy in anything.
Oh, Jesus.
It is really good to be sitting across from you, though, Brian.
Yeah.
And I can turn it on. I can turn it on a little bit, and you know what? You guys help me turn it on a little bit.
That's dark when Brian's the best part of your week.
I know, when he's my...
First of all, I am cheerful.
And you got a swirls.
This is a welcome reprieve. However, I have watched a lot of movies since I last saw you, but not the one that you assigned me.
Don't worry about that. Glass Onion is not that timely. Honestly, as movies sink in, movies take hold, or they do the opposite. They kind of flutter away. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to talking about Glass Onion with you. I'm kind of more excited to talk about The Menu. Which I assigned you also.
No. Oh, you did?
I had some back-to-back weeks.
What?
Well, I won twice in a row.
I didn't see that either.
I did.
I did see.
The Menu.
I saw The Menu.
All right. Well, I will be seeing when we get back. There's going to be a smorgasbord of Flickfessions and many, many movies. I have not been this far removed from new releases in years, guys. Years. So it's not lost on me. I realize that. This is the darker days as far as my place over here on the Film Vault.
This is terrible because, full disclosure to everyone, we're recording this 2 days before Christmas, and to hear you're not finding joy in anything.
I know.
It should be Christmas carols and hot cocoa.
Doing all I can to fake it with the boy.
Well, I got you booze.
Thank you for that.
Of course.
But it's not fair to Atticus, who's 6, and his mom is doing just fine. Jillian, dealt with the same tragedy as I did, and she, stiff upper lip, and she dealt with it for maybe an hour, and here it is 2 weeks later, and I'm finally. It's
was
bizarre.
it her dog?
What?
I mean, was it her dog prior to you two?
She and I got the dog together shortly after we moved in,
gotcha.
Her name was Sydney, and she was a sweet, adorable little dog, and she was very old, and she was about to probably. I wanted to keep her around for the holidays, which was selfish, I guess, because she was starting to pee everywhere, and you could tell that she just wasn't quite the same anymore.
Yeah, go look at my carpet.
She, Brian watched her for the last week.
It's true. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
And 3 days after I got home, she met a somewhat of an untimely end while I was home in my backyard in my pool, and I'm having a really. I was not prepared for this effect, and I just feel so guilty, and I feel awful about everything, and I miss her so much, and even though she was old as dirt, and I feel awful and really good. This is the most I've ever talked about it without crying. So I feel like doing better, but I don't know if I'm going to let myself off the hook for this. I was putting up Christmas lights on the roof. I thought that I had everything covered.
Oh, come on, man. It's an accident. It's an accident involving an elderly dog.
We don't leave the door open when we're not home. I was home, so I didn't even, I thought that I was covered, and I wasn't. So I've been really, and I was talking about it on the after disaster, and I didn't have control over my brain, and I realized what I was doing for the first 10 days after it happened, which was just reliving it over and over and over again. And it was my brain being stupid trying to fix it. Because what I do is if there's a problem, I just ruminate on it and I fixate on it and I obsess on it until I figure out a way to fix it or to move on. And I was doing that with the death of my Sydney, and I was trying to fix it. And I'm smart enough to know there's no fixing that, but my brain couldn't figure that out. I kept going back and reliving everything and trying to fix it. And just the last 48 hours, I'm actually able to kind of not think about it every minute or two. So,
jeez. Well, in all seriousness, man, I joke just to bring a little levity to the situation. But I'm sorry, that really there's no other way to say it. That sucks, and that's I'm sorry for you.
Thanks, buddy. And thanks for everyone who heard about it. Now, let me bring.
Let's take your minds off things. Talk about movies.
Last week we re-aired a classic episode with John Cho, actor John Cho, who was delightful on the show. And let me, I'm going to admit something here that has never happened before.
Oh, dear.
That was not really John Cho.
With this show. We had a John Cho impersonator to come in. He did a bang-up job. No, this show was from, I think 8 years or so ago. We did raps on it where, we introduced the show. We talked about it. We did a new recording and talked a little bit about what you're about to hear like we always do. We don't just play old episodes. But I had not heard it yet. And what I always do with the old episodes is I go back and I listen and I mark the places where there's commercials that I got to cut out and anything else that might be kind of.
Do you let any N-word slip?
But no, I don't cut content.
Just for you.
I do not cut content. However, this is how this went down, and it's.
The good news is we're usually on our best behavior with guests.
If there's karma, I was a real shithead not only in this life but in my last life as well, because this is some kind of new kind of torture. Talked about this briefly on the after disaster just earlier today, but if you don't listen to that dribble, here's how
I haven't
it went
heard
down.
that one yet.
So I lost my Sydney, and 2:22 is when I discovered her. Oh, as you can tell, I've gone over the details over and over and over again. Looked at phone records, tried to figure out exactly when it happened. It's just insane at any rate. So at 6:00 at night, I find myself on a Christmas tree lot by myself. It's raining. It's drizzling. It's kind of like
this is a sad milieu.
It's
like an updated Charlie Brown Christmas.
I know.
It's one of those ma and pa places, so it's very festive, and they got Christmas music going. And so I'm hearing that in one ear. My other ear, I'm listening to the John Cho episode, right? I'm catching up and marking where the commercials are, and I remaster everything. And as I'm walking around this Christmas tree lot, not able to even focus on Christmas trees because I'm just so distraught and I'm so still completely in it and just raw and I'm crying, I'm wandering around this Christmas tree lot outside, raining. Crying. It's raining on me, listening to John Cho, and I'm hearing, I wasn't great back then, but I was particularly douchey at times on this episode with John Cho.
Did the guest bring it out?
No, he was great, but
no, not of himself, of you,
of me. That's what I'm saying. No, he did not bring it out. We were all being a little edgy at times, but it was towards the end of the show, and I'm being absolutely honest here, guys. I never do this, but I cut out a chunk of the show. It's probably 60 seconds to 90 seconds, and I couldn't let that be out there. And I'm hearing this as I'm wandering around crying at this Christmas tree lot.
Wow.
Thinking, what kind of torture is this? There's no other human being who's going through this in the world right now, who just lost a beloved pet, is crying at a Christmas tree lot, listening to Bing Crosby in one ear and himself in the other ear say just horrible, stupid shit to John Cho. Here's what I cut out. I couldn't let it be out there without me acknowledging it.
I said milieu, but I meant tableau.
Now Brian feels just as bad as you do.
This is my tragedy. My fucking vocabulary is from the pool. See, that's not funny.
Towards the end of the episode, and you guys didn't miss anything because I'm recounting it right now. Towards the end of the episode, we're talking about racism to Asian Americans in particular. And
you're a denier.
And John Cho is, he's talking about something along those lines, and then I butt in. And I begin to explain to John Cho. I'm explaining to him. I'm not asking his opinion or what do you think about this? Or I have a theory.
This idea?
Yeah. No, I'm just no, here's how it is, guys. Brian and guest John Cho.
Listen up, Johnny. Listen to this
I
one.
can't believe this. I can't believe I was such a fucking douche.
You got this out?
I'm explaining to John and you, Brian, and the listeners that the Asian Americans are some of the most quiet.
Oh my God.
Citizens,
Subservience?
yes, in the nation, and they don't really complain when there's wrongs that are dealt upon them, and that's why you don't really hear much about wrongs that are done to Asian Americans because Asian Americans, they're a very quiet bunch. And I went on to
How
say
did
that
John react?
I went on to say that the Jewish people,
Oh,
loud bunch, right? You would never guess, but a bunch of
loud bunch.
yeah. I don't know what I was doing, and you can hear John, who everything's been great.
The
up
Jewish
until this
remake
point.
of the Wild Bunch is the Loud.
And John's just—he's kind of like
Kvetching bunch.
he's on mic, just going, never weighed in. He could just.
So he proved your point.
I know. That's what I said on the after disaster. I'm like, he was proving my point over there. But I couldn't. I was listening to this on the Christmas tree lot, going, just when are you going to ask John Cho's opinion about this? You dumb fuck. What's wrong with you? What kind of torture is this? I bring it on myself.
That's so good.
So I cut that. I couldn't have that just out there without me,
Yeah.
So, John Cho, if you're listening, I
excited
apologize. Ah, man.
You think he's listening?
He might be. I tagged him on Instagram in the post last
how
week.
about that?
He's not going to be hearing that part. I never cut anything out, guys. I wince and I cringe a lot.
John Cho goes back and listens. He's like, why did I have such a bad impression of Anderson? He's like a nice. God, I remember him being such a stupid asshole.
Wow. I'm still in shock. And you didn't call me on it. I feel like you should have called me on it.
I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
No, with what you said.
I mean, there's some truth to it, but I mean, it's not my place to say.
Yeah, line.
Oh, man.
You're an habitual line stepper.
Hey, guys, listen up. Let me tell you how it is. Jesus Christ. I mean, I kind of make a living by just, blowharding my way through things, but that was just egregious. And
what is it? The not the mansplaining, the Caucasian mansplaining.
yeah, Caucasian mansplaining. It's just. So I'm sorry. I had
new
to cut
species.
Can we
I had to cut something
release
out,
that
guys.
chunk as like a bonus tier on?
I mean, maybe we'll put it on Patreon. And as long as my
$50
mic is
a
open, so you can hear me like reacting to it, I just can't have that out there by itself.
An NFT here, one of one.
That'll be the next watch along.
That's right. That would be great.
There's that on the
We're just
loop.
listening. Anderson's cringing. I'm rolling and laughing. Oh, speaking of cringing.
I'm not a bad person. I'm an arrogant person.
You're
at
not.
times, but
You're
I'm
not.
not a fucking
You're
bad person.
misguided
And I come
occasionally.
off as a really bad person in some of those old episodes, and it's just I don't even recognize it. I just don't. I don't get it.
Oh.
I'm drinking water.
Well
right.
done. The play-by-play is fantastic. Coming up later this week, top 5 odd musical choices brought to us by Mitch Tobias. Yes, and it's I love the topic because it's worded just vaguely enough that you could play around with what an odd musical choice is. I'm curious to see what his list is. I'm curious to see what your list is.
Did you get his list, Avery?
I did not.
I will forward it to you. All right.
Avery, did we get?
I'm listless.
I imagine it would be hard to get a listener list for.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
Okay,
We got
great.
little bits and
Nice.
pieces. The bitch Burns, he
on
pulls
top
out
of
all the
things?
stops.
All right.
Thank you for that, Mitch Burns.
Mitch Burns and Mitch Tobias.
Going above and beyond.
I talked to Mitch Tobias yesterday about his list. He normally makes. Oh, shout out to Mitch Tobias as well. As you might have heard, Jillian left her phone in Frankfurt, Germany. On
Oh,
a
is he
trip.
the dude that retrieved it?
And Mitch Tobias happens to reside in
Big
Frankfurt. So he
time.
went down there and talked to the German authorities, which no one ever likes to do.
No.
And he got them
Shouldn't do it.
to recover the phone because they were telling us that they didn't have the phone. He got them to show him the phone, so he saw proof of life of the phone. And then
What dicks.
almost immediately, like the status of the phone through Jillian's email changed, and then they said 120 quid, and you or whatever it is, and you get pounds,
Deutschmarks.
120
Well, probably
pounds.
the problem the euro.
And then
right?
so Jillian has her phone back now, thanks due
thought
in
it says
large part to
Frankfurt.
Mitch.
What the fuck
They go
is
off
that?
a pound. They go off of
No, they don't.
euros.
Do they? The euro,
Euros.
probably.
120 euros is what
What?
it is. Yeah.
They just you have to go and prove that
I was
they
gonna
have
say.
it, and then they'll give you the
Yeah.
price.
Yeah, I don't know who knows. I guess he was the Gestapo or whatever he was over there at the German
Yes,
airport.
yes.
He was telling Mitch that Jillian didn't fill out the paperwork accordingly. I saw the paperwork because I filled it out, and it
Yeah.
was just a step by step. You just put your name, the description,
Yeah.
and it's all there. There was no filling out the wrong paperwork. So
I mean, they're about to inherit a probably $600 iPhone. They were going to do everything they could and within reason to be like, yeah, sorry, can't find
It's
it.
going right to Craigslist.
Yeah,
Deutschlist.
Craig with a K. Craig with a K.
All right. enough from me. Let's hear what the people have been listening.
Yeah, a little fan fliction compiled by the aforementioned Mitch Burns.
He's doing everything these days.
He really is. You might as well sit in for me.
Well, I think he's snowed in up there. Yeah. I don't know if there's much else he can do.
He's been emailing us. Please do more episodes.
Yeah, please.
One a day, please.
Catch up.
Only 4 listeners weighed in on Avatar, so here's the snippets from each review. Avatar Way of the Water was great. If you like Avatar. Avatar
right. Story checks out.
Avatar is a 2-star movie disguised as a 5-star video game. I loved it, and I want to go back to Pandora again.
Really?
I'll give The Way of the Water the Cider House Rules review. It was all right. Abby Kitzmiller on I Don't Know said, I watched Who Killed Santa, a Murderville mystery, and it was hilarious.
Fun.
A Murderville murder mystery, sorry. Ice 56200, good name, on Reddit, saw Funny Pages. Great recommendation from Anderson.
Excuse me, I saw it too.
Yeah, but I recommended it.
Okay, that's probably right.
Great recommendation from Anderson. It's like if the Safdie brothers directed a comedy.
It's true.
Very memorable characters. Highly recommend this one. And lastly, from Mitch, I do not understand the love for Bones and All. Felt like Twilight trying to be adult. Some great supporting performances, especially Mark Rylance.
All right.
I will be catching up with that one as well. I got a number of movies that I will be watching, and I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be chock full of movie watching.
I was going to say we're front loading next year in terms of
that's normally how we do it. Not quite to this level, but I mean, The Whale just finally became available as well, and I was really hoping to have squeezed that one in. I just can't keep my eyes open. I put Atticus to bed, and then I'm falling asleep. Like I don't know if it's the sickness, the depression.
Because you probably still got a little bit of jet lag that hasn't caught up. You probably it probably didn't help. You were probably already in a hole dealing with that.
You're vulnerable.
Yeah, I'm such a pab, guys. But I think I'm on the mend here. So, and thank you for all your well wishes and everyone. A couple people donated some money to Pets in Needs in Sydney's honor. So I'm proud of myself to be able to talk about it here without. I mean,
what
you guys
is charity? Pets in Need.
Pets in Need. A couple people gave some donations,
that's nice.
Which is very nice. I got email alerts, and that made me tear up for sure, but made me feel like at least something good came out of this fucking awful tragedy. You know what's funny is all I wanted to do soon after I got home with the Christmas tree. Hearing myself talk to John
you're actually getting a tree. I thought the saddest part was you were wandering a lot.
No, maybe I didn't mention that part, but Atticus was too sick, and so Jillian, because he had like 102 fever, he was in bed. This is the day that Sydney left, and I had to go out and get a Christmas tree, so it was me by myself in this rainy, depressing lot listening to me.
You berate John Cho.
Yeah, but
and Bing Barich in the other.
What was I gonna say? I can't remember.
You were gonna say. We're talking about jet lag. You're tired.
Getting the tree.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. I'm sorry.
Solo tree shopping.
Yeah, solo tree shopping by myself. I got a cute little reindeer thing that reminded me of Sid, though. A little, like, they take a log and they put legs on it.
Oh yeah,
it looked a lot like Sid. So.
True.
The hardest part too is that Atticus didn't know. Thank God he didn't know about the way that she went. So we just lied and told him. We didn't lie. We said we found her. I don't want to get too much into this, but I had to explain to him like a full 36 hours later, like he didn't know, right? And I had to like sit him down and be like, Atticus, we have something to tell you. And I had to,
you didn't have to tell him.
Yeah, I mean, he's like asking, where's Sydney? Where's our dog?
Oh, I thought you meant how she died.
No, we didn't tell him how.
Sorry, that's where you're going.
Fuck. All right. I can't look at my house. Especially with the Christmas lights. I'm just like, this fucking light. Oh, the worst part is the fuse kept blowing, so all the Christmas lights weren't even working for the first 3 days.
One of those
I don't know
lights,
if that's the worst
one of those lights coming down. The morning of the 26th.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Careful up there.
All right. What was I going to say?
You were saying when you were looking for a tree, that's why you kind of let in. Or speaking of looking for a tree or while looking for a tree.
Let's talk. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, we'll get back to it.
Hey, let's get into some Flickfessions. We're going to confess the flicks we've seen in the past week. Call it Flickfessions and serve it up to you.
Tortillas.
Anderson, that's right. You, Anderson, and Avery saw Avatar. I was traveling and with
hurting the show. You're hurting the show.
I was really hurting the show. I admit it. Canceled and delayed flights. It was awful. And here I am. No Avatar knowledge at all, but you assholes, don't take it off me. Just turn yours so you can see.
Do they not have IMAX in New York? Did Cuomo get rid of that?
I'm pretty sure that they have 2 theaters, both of which were closed.
All right, Avery and I are on the screen now for those of you watching at home. Fantastic, the way it should be.
Take it away.
Let's talk
I got some last minute shopping to do.
A little Way of the Water. Way of the Water.
I think it's Way of Water.
James, I don't know.
The Way of Water.
The Way of Water, yes. Directed by James Cameron, written by James Cameron, Rick Jaffa, and Amanda Silver. They're the credited people who wrote it. Okay. Starring Sam Worthington, Sigourney Weaver as a small child, blue child, Zoe Saldana. Stephen Lang, of course, is back in there. Cliff Curtis. We got all sorts of people. And Eddie Falco's voicing one of the blue people. And we got Jermaine Clement being completely and totally wasted as a marine biologist. He shows up about halfway through the movie. Avery, what did you think of this blue-centric miniseries?
I will say the most surprising thing was that you do get to see Avatar boobs.
Oh.
No nips, though.
Blue boobs?
There were nips.
What? I was looking for nips.
Wow.
There were Avatar nips.
Really?
So if that's not enough to get you guys into theaters, there are Avatar nips.
How? What? Are you sure they weren't seashells? Because she had that thing that was kind of like latched to. There's this character, Brian.
Might be spoilers.
Who she's half fish, half Avatar.
All right.
And she's pretty much topless. She's like mermaid topless, but she has like these weird things that are kind of connected to her. And I'm like, are they going topless with this girl?
No, it wasn't that. It was the one of them in the tank right at the beginning.
Right.
Yeah.
Ooh. You're a perv.
Hey,
I was shocked that it starts with that. And here's my conspiracy theory.
Oh, in the tank, like the
In the
Sigourney
tank.
Weaver girl.
Yep.
Oh.
Here's my theory.
Oh.
Jimmy knew we were going to have a whole lot of boob physics
That's
coming
James Cameron he's going after, yeah.
and he didn't want you to be distracted, so I think he kind of gave you.
Like, here's what the blue boobs look like,
Here
all right?
you
Now
go.
get them out of your brain.
Exactly. Now fuck
Let's just
off
deal
and
with
pay
this
attention
now.
to my
Interested.
Let me
$1 million movie.
I'm ashamed.
That's my
Brian,
conspiracy
you're
theory.
off camera,
I don't
and you
care
have
about
nothing
that.
to
No
say
one
about
cares.
this.
Oh, I have a question, which is going to spark discussion.
You're like one of those people on Yelp. Like, I've never been to this restaurant, but
That's right. I at the risk of being disgusting and basic, do you think James Cameron
beats off to his own
pleasured
creation.
himself in the edit bay?
I mean, there's a lot of sex appeal, or a would-be sex appeal to these things. I can tell
And
that they're going.
out.
Aren't they going for the sex appeal? Don't you get that
I think-
vibe
yeah,
for sure?
yeah.
I got to tell you, I just look at these things and I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed by their facial features, and I don't really dig them. Sam Worthington's voiceover is probably the best part as far as the characters go.
I really liked the villain. I do like. He's a total stereotype,
Is
but
it
his
Stephen
voice
Lang?
is
Is he
great.
back?
Stephen Lang. Yeah.
He's
Yes.
back. Oh,
Yes.
thank God. I love Stephen Lang.
So okay, here's
Curly,
the
he's
storyline.
what's his fucking in Tombstone, the sniveling little guy with the goatee.
Brian, you're out of your element.
God damn it, not Curly Bill.
Out of your element, Brian.
Maybe it is Curly Bill.
He's the blind guy in Don't Breathe. Look,
That's true.
this movie is very, very simple, but so simple that maybe it's confusing. All right,
Yes.
so here's the deal.
I almost wish I had rewatched it because there was I forgot more than I realized.
So the
And they don't really try to help you out with that.
no, they don't really.
Which shocked me for 14 years out of the loop, James.
It didn't shock me because I think Cameron's thinking like everyone's obsessed with this movie and they know the whole lineage and they know the whole original like the back of their hand because this is one of the all-time classics. It'd be like explaining A New Hope, you know, before.
Yeah. What happened in Empire Strikes Back?
Yeah. So the first one, and I'm somewhat familiar with it because I did Better as a Horror not too long ago. So I reminded myself and read a bunch of synopses and watched videos and whatnot. But it was fairly convoluted. But when you boil it down, it's just all about. And I know a lot of you who are listening to this absolutely love both Avatars, and I'm not taking anything away. I just have some questions about it. So the first one is. It's
He was like Clinton.
This is very, very distracting.
we don't take kindly your kind around here, low dog.
I would not have guessed that was him.
That's him.
Brian, step down, please.
He's aged well.
We don't like your kind around here, low dog.
All right, so it's one of these age-old tales where they found some unobtainium, right? Some very, very, very,
It sounds familiar.
Tales as old as time.
and but
It's hard to obtain.
These pesky tribal people who live peacefully that are getting in the way of our riches, right? Our capitalistic ways. So we must take them out. And that was pretty much the storyline for Avatar. And they came up with some very interesting ways as to how to infiltrate and put their own avatars, who are like half human, half these creature things that they created in a lab down there, right? Like, that's the gist.
Well, they put their consciousness inside of these mechanical, synthetic, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Whatever. For a tribe or a people that are peaceful, as you say, they're very adept at war.
Yeah, I mean, It's a good point.
Well, so are the Native Americans.
You assume, yeah, but
You
there was
fucking racist.
it's well known that there's a lot of like intertribal warring going on.
That's true.
They're,
Yeah.
'cause they're-
Oh,
turns
when are we
out
going to see that?
they're human beings, right?
When are we gonna see that?
Native Americans are, and Native human beings like to fight,
Yes.
regardless of
Well,
color
we
of
know.
skin, right? So,
Well, some colors.
so this one opens up with all right. The
Because none of the trailers really show anything of the story.
no, it's all babies.
well,
being
here's the
born
story,
and-
and maybe you can help me with
Because
this.
there's not. Because based on the trailer, I was going, "Is this about anything?"
It's 3 hours and what 27 minutes, 17 minutes.
Did it feel that long?
Yes, 3 hours and 12 minutes.
I'm gonna say no.
Really? All right, so they're back, right? The capitalistic, greedy war pigs are back. They're all a bunch of Marines.
War pigs.
And they have, some new consciousness strategically and conveniently laid into some new avatars. So we get Stephen Lang back, even though he didn't
Yes.
make it through the last
Yeah.
one. And so we get him to voice it again. He has all of his memories. He's just not the actual guy. His son is also running amok on the Pandora.
He's
his
very
little-
Tarzan light.
Yes, yes. And there's some strange things that I want to talk about as well there, where there's clumsy exposition where it's like, oh, well, now I can see what's coming, but it never pays off. Tarzan kid, Stephen Lang's son, at one point just inexplicably says, oh, you guys can breathe the air, but I have to wear this thing, and if I don't wear this thing for 10 minutes, I die.
Brutal.
I'm like, okay, so when's the thing coming off?
We got to
Because-
reestablish that every once in a while.
and it never did. It never...
The
Why?
opposite of Chekhov's gun.
Yeah.
James Mask.
What was that?
Chekhov's mask.
There was something else that happened like this. All right, so they come back.
Maybe he's just such a master filmmaker that he's just fucking with you.
Maybe it's gonna happen like episode 5 or something, because he's got like 7 more of these, right?
That's right.
That's the final shot of Avatar 5.
My mask.
It's like Vader taking his mask off.
So
But you'll die. It is too late.
Stephen Quatrich or Quarch, whatever his name is, Stephen Lang's character, he's like, hoorah, it's quite evident right off the bat that James Cameron does not support the troops. You get that sense, right? He's not a big troop guy.
No.
Really black
That's
and white.
interesting.
All military people are absolute and total heathens and shitheads, and all of the blue people are just, they're angelic. So Stephen Lang is leading this group of new avatars to go decimate the pesky tribal, what are they called? Navi?
Navi, yeah.
Navi.
So that they can, because they want to
Even I know
repopulate. They want to repopulate Pandora with humans.
Because Earth is dying.
I guess Earth is dying.
They want to populate a fucking planet where they can't breathe?
Yeah, but they got masks.
That's
Apparently.
very dumb.
Or maybe they'll just avatar everyone. And
Okay,
I don't
well,
know. It's not
that's
explained. See what I'm saying? Now, instead of going in and just like doing what actual Americans did to the Native Americans, a few hundred years ago with the Cowboys and the Indians, like they just target Jake, Sam Worthington's character.
As though that's all that
Sully.
is in the way.
As in, like, and they don't even set it up at all. Like, we cut off the snake's head and the rest of the body. Like, they don't talk about any of it. It's just like, we must kill this guy and his family, and then humans can move here. And they never explain why that is.
Isn't his body being housed somewhere while his avatar does, all the
See,
procreating?
that I don't remember.
No, because this is a clone, so they did some other.
What?
Are you talking about Jake?
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
Jake's
yeah.
Oh, I'm probably
son.
missing something then.
I don't remember how the Jake thing ended off.
I don't know either. I remember in the first one, he would be in the little pod or
I
whatever.
thought at
while
the end he's just then fully commits to being an avatar and his body is gone. Is that not true?
How would that? Oh fuck! I don't even know. How would that work?
Well, in the same way with the new villain, he's no longer with us, but his blue version.
Oh,
I'm sure
I
there's some
see.
people that are very upset. However, that doesn't take.
They fully
think
transferred his consciousness.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
there's still something to or something lacking there where it's like they made it so mono from the get.
Gio, send Anderson an email.
No,
and he'll
no,
tell me,
no, no.
He'll tell me about it afterwards.
Please don't. But were you distracted by that?
By
The fact that all they had to do was just take out Jake and everything is golden.
I will say my my feeling on this movie.
That's what bothered you?
I was not surprised by a single thing that happened in this movie. I expected everything to happen that did happen.
Absolutely.
But I was so happy every time it did happen.
Interesting.
Did it bother you that Jake's last name is Sully, not as in Sullivan? It's actually Sully, like not Jake Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully.
Doesn't
I
bother
did not
me
have
at
time
all.
to think of that.
Okay, I never liked
Did you see this in 3D?
See, that's another problem. And I don't know
Did
if
you see
my
this in
eyes
IMAX 3D?
are just different. But I have fallen every couple of years. I listen to people and I say, okay, I'll buy the 3D ticket. And I find myself at least a fourth of the movie taking the glasses off so I can see the true colors, because
Really?
3D makes it so muted and dark, and I love the brightness.
Did they fuck up in your theater? Because mine was great.
I don't know. I mean, it just didn't. There's no those glasses are darker, and they really got to pump up.
But I thought they did. They've learned
maybe not
since.
in my theater.
Because I had maybe my most LA experience in years. I saw Avatar in IMAX 3D at the Grove.
Mm.
During
dear.
Christmas time.
Oh, dear.
So they had the brightness.
You're
It
Basic
looked
bits.
beautiful.
Ranked.
It absolutely looked beautiful.
I had no darkness issues.
It's a solid 3-star movie, and in some of the camera work, or if you even call it that, because so much of it's CG, but like left me like thinking this is not masterful. This is kind of sloppy at times. I don't know if that's just me.
I thought the CGI was unbelievable.
Wow.
In a video game way.
In a video game way.
like the Fanfliction suggested. This is a 2-star movie. I called it a 3-star movie. I'll give it an extra star just because of all of the work that went into inventing this world. But it felt more like a video game more often than not.
It felt like a video game cutscene the entire time.
And there was definitely some satisfying stuff, especially with the once they got to the whale stuff, and a lot of you alerted me
and
to
the
that.
comeuppance. It's more violent and brutal than I thought it would be.
A lot of violence.
Yeah.
And there is a little bit of blood too, and dismemberment and whatnot.
Blue blood?
No, not blue blood. Not enough blue blood actually. They're pretty much all Rambos, and the foolish Marines don't have much aim. A lot of that going on.
Yeah.
Right? But
Here
did
I've
it
been
need to
led
be
to
3
believe-
hours and 12 minutes? This story could have easily been told in 2 hours and 12 minutes. I think there was quite a bit of filler, and I get the sense that he felt entitled
but it was almost.
to do so.
I really liked this movie. I didn't want to. I did. I'm in now for the rest of Avatar.
Are you?
I'm fully back in. I thought this was better than the first one. I thought this was almost slice of life. It was kind of like watching an episode of Blue Planet on a planet that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
I was totally okay with that.
All of the invented creatures and stuff were cool, and I'm sure that a lot of them were inspired by actual animals of the deep, because James Cameron's got a real passion for that, which I appreciate and I like, and I did like the whale story for sure. That could have been the whole movie for me. Fuck everything else, because instead of Unatamian, Brian, Unatamian, am I saying that right?
Unobtainium.
They found a new thing that comes from the brainstem of a whale.
Oh, geez.
That's worth
lantern
more.
oil.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And the entire story could have just been about that. It could have been like
$80 million.
I think I would have liked that more if that was the entire story and they were just going in to get that stuff.
Yeah.
And it was the Na'vi and the water Na'vi people.
Now, you look at the show as a service. I'm going to ask both of you, for those of us like me who are going to see this in the coming days and weeks, where's a good pee spot?
Pee 3 times before you go. I peed before I got in the theater, and then I peed at during the worst trailer.
Avery suggested that he knew everything that was going to happen, and that's absolutely true. You can feel this movie as it's going down. If you watched enough movies, you can tell, there's 10 minutes of just somewhat needless drivel and dialogue going that's not going to add a whole lot other than just you're going to get to know the characters a little bit. I had a really hard time telling the difference between the brothers, too.
Wow.
The brothers
Yeah,
were
yeah.
like
Fucking racist.
almost, Brian, you're so...
They all look the same, right?
It's really, really easy for you to just lean into things, isn't it?
I didn't say it.
So I was having a hard time. Other than the one got in trouble all the other time, and the other one didn't. I'm like, okay, that's the younger one. All right, but they ask you to care about things when they happen, and
I gave a shit. He got me so bad, and I did not want to be got. I don't know. I don't know why. I just kind of let it happen because I was sitting there resisting, not wanting to give in, and I went, "Why are you being an asshole? Just try to give this movie a chance."
I know that feeling.
You talked yourself into it.
And what flipped the switch for me was just I stopped viewing it as a movie. So maybe this will help some listeners. I stopped viewing it as a movie and viewed it as an amusement park ride.
Okay.
Like if you're
Captain
going on
EO.
Star Tours
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever it is.
It does kind of feel like that quality.
Because you're not going to be able to see it again the way it's intended. Like IMAX 3D was insane, where how immersive it was and the depth of field. And after about 15 minutes, you're just in there and you forget.
Yeah.
And to me, it was as impactful as the first one. But like...
it's almost
the
like
new
being
version
hypnotized, and either sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. And
so
also,
I think for that, it helped me. I wasn't going into this the same way I did when I sat down to watch Banshees of Inisherin, right? Where I'm going, okay, this is some Oscar-worthy performances. I literally sat down and went, "You're about to get on a roller coaster."
you were immersed.
and see it as
Enveloped.
that. I'm not going on Star Tours going, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a little indulgent.
This is not, there's
it's-
no development here.
You get to get off after like 7 minutes or
True,
whatever.
but it's also you're not going to be able to see it as intended again. It's going to suck at home. There's no reason to watch this on your own TV screen at home.
In all fairness to the movie and to the listeners who love it and to the listeners who may love it who haven't seen it yet, I was not in the greatest place when I saw this.
You don't
And
say.
there were a lot of drownings in this fucking
Oh,
movie.
no.
Yeah.
Which was not great, and I probably should have realized that going in with the way of water.
Do the
but
Na'vi have an equivalent of dogs? Pets?
no, they
Well, they
have
do
the
have pets.
horses, the
Okay.
water horses, and the water flying fish.
I thought the whale would have gotten you.
The whale was pretty good, but there was something that I think it just all still looks like a cartoon to me. It all looks like a really good looking video game, but I'm never buying what I'm looking at.
I wonder if your theater was worse. If it was too dark.
I mean, I didn't see it in the IMAX.
Oh.
Because I thought it was maybe, I don't know. I would say see it in the highest premium format you can. Because I was really
I saw it in
blown
the
away.
real 3D, and it was a big theater. But a lot of the IMAX theaters out in the valley aren't true IMAX anyways.
Yeah.
They're bullshit IMAX. But also, I've seen IMAX 3D movies, and the only one that's ever actually captured me that did it really right was at the Chinese theater, and it was when I saw the Walk, I think it's called, which was Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Zemeckis.
Yeah,
The narrative version of Man on Wire.
yeah, and that really I was immersed with that movie, but maybe that's because the technology was there, and the theater that I saw it at a top of the line AMC theater in a really big theater, real 3D, with the glasses.
Well, it was top of the line, but in my theater.
But when I see like IMAX, when I see the IMAX 3D, it crunches it all down anyway. So I don't think it really matters what size the screen is.
Maybe it was the brightness then.
I think it's the brightness.
Because I think it might be a theater-to-theater quality control thing where you either get a good one or you don't. But
I want to dip in and see what you saw, and it might just be me.
So if you're in the LA area, the Grove's got it kicking. They got it dialed in.
Sam Worthington, though, a killer
Yes.
performance. It was
Everyone
John
go to the Grove.
Barenthal, like almost.
really?
He sounded a lot like John Barenthal, and he was just real easy to get on board with and follow because I mean he's the leader of of his family pod and a really really good leader. Like the language, his read was just probably strangely enough probably the thing that I appreciated most about the movie with such a visual spectacle of a movie. Sam Worthington's performance was fantastic, I thought.
And I think by the end, I had no idea going into this, obviously, how are you going to make 4 more of these? What are you talking about? 3,
They're
4
just
more
going to
of
keep
these.
coming back for different
But
resources.
at the
probably.
end of this, it started to make sense. I'm not saying I'm going to care about all the storylines they set up, but I at least can sort of envision
How many are there?
where we're going.
Do you know how many total? are there?
Guaranteed 1 more. If the next one also does well, 2 more after that.
Yeah.
So here's
Because they've got 2 in the can. They filmed this one and the next one at the same time.
really?
we barely even talk about the story other than how pared down it was to like Stephen Lang versus Sam Worthington's character. But Sam Worthington's character, he and his Na'vi and like the family that we get to know pretty well, they're on the run. They decide to flee from the forest, and they go and they meet like a subspecies of Na'vi. They live in the water, and they've adapted and evolved to have like bigger fins and bigger tails, and they have to adapt and live with this new tribe out on the reef. And that's all very interesting. It takes about an hour to get there, and once it gets there, the movie picked up.
Yeah,
a
it
little
literally
bit for me.
takes an hour to get to the location.
And then there's a lot of in-tribe fighting and differences, obviously, and they get into that a little bit.
It's almost like an hour. It's like an hour of setup, an hour of introducing the new tribe, and then an hour of combat at the end.
I think that's fair. And I loved some of the big machinery that the
Oh, it's
military uses. Like that was the realest looking stuff for me, and I believe that stuff was huge. Like the whale hunting ship was impressive.
And the action, I think, was better done in this one than the other one. I think with the guns and the bow and arrows and the killing on both sides, I think it was, and some of the hand-to-hand combat too. I think it was just better choreographed. And
Look, it's a solid 3-star movie. I don't think that I needed to spend. I didn't need to camp out there for
How
half
many,
of a day to see it.
Hey, Rotten
to
Tomato
experience.
style. You both say a number. How many times do people need to see this?
I mean, once is like seeing it twice.
I'm thinking
almost.
about going back. I'm thinking about going
You
back.
were talking
Let's
so
do
much
it.
shit.
I
man.
know.
Yeah, that's the best though. Like when you're really kind of like anti something, you think you understand it, but you don't, and then you realize you're wrong. I love that. I was hoping that would happen.
But I really think that what did it for me was making the switch in my mind of you're not watching a movie, You are going on an amusement park ride.
Here's the thing, though, Avery. It is a movie.
I know.
Hold on, I gotta check this out.
But I think literally the fact that it's you need all this extra bullshit to appreciate the way he wants you to. You really can only see this once as intended. No one's gonna have IMAX real 3D in their house.
Yeah.
So you can only see it once. So for me, I was like, oh,
Yeah, so that's
I
why you'll
enjoyed
go back and see it again, because you know that it's, you got a limited window there.
Yeah, and that's the only way to do it. And then I won't see it again. And there you go.
All right.
Fucking Avatar.
It's a fun ride.
Thanks, Avery, for nothing.
We spent a half
Ryan,
hour.
you moved your camera.
Yeah,
You're not even on
that's all I
anymore.
mean.
You dill.
Why is it?
Why'd you
facing-
take your camera back?
Because I'm the star of the show.
Oh, Jesus.
I gotta give the people what they want.
right.
What is this?
It's a skew. All right, let's go. More movies.
See the blue boobs in 3D.
Talk Paterson. What do you got, Brian?
Here we go. More movies. We were assigned a film. Hold on, I got it right here. But Pete Abeyta. Please tell me that's right.
That is.
Said it before I looked. Pete Abeyta assigned us Paterson.
Mm-hmm.
Paterson is a, hold on, wait for it, I got it right here, 2016 film, written and directed by Jim Jarmusch, starring Adam Driver as the titular, question mark?
He's
Paterson. Or is he?
He's at least half of the tits.
That's right. There you
Ooh.
go. Also starring, it's a one-hander, but Gold, what the fuck? Golshife?
Sir.
Golshive. Faharani and Marvin the dog is probably the third.
Marvin's tight.
Marvin's pretty sweet. 96% of Rotten Tomatoes. This is streaming on Prime. When this assignment came down the pike, I was looking at this movie, who stars in it, who wrote and directed it. And
You
how
really weren't
recent-
familiar with this movie at
Oh
all?
no! How recent it
Jesus.
was. This is the Film Vault era, and I'm thinking to myself, how did I not know about this? How did I not?
Do you
know?
really have to ask that question to yourself?
Well, the Oscars ignored it, so I ignored it.
All right. What'd you think?
Paterson takes place in Paterson, New Jersey. It also stars a man named Paterson, Adam Driver. That is, we are informed partway through the film, he is not nicknamed after the town of Paterson. He is in fact named Paterson.
I think he's a representation of Paterson and what
Perhaps
Paterson has to offer.
you think that's actually?
I think that's what Jim Jarmusch was aiming towards.
Well, that changes everything. This reminds me of I forget who first said. Oh, it was me. It was bad movies are slow, good movies are deliberate. This is a deliberate movie.
You like this movie?
It's a good movie.
Wow.
It's a good. I mean, kind of like in a weird way, kind of like what Avery was saying with
About
Avatar.
Avatar?
You got to
Very similar. These movies.
in the sense that
They do talk a lot about blue tip matches.
That's true. In the sense that you have to adjust your settings. You know what I mean? Like, this is not a movie that is going to knock your socks off. It's not a movie that is going to wow you. But this is a movie that is God, I fucking hate this, but it actually applies. It's a tone poem.
Yeah.
It's a tone.
It really is a
no,
tone
no
poem.
pun intended. And it's a character study. So it's quiet. It's deliberate. But it's very well done. These are nuanced characters, especially the Adam Driver character. Every time I thought he was going to do something, he did something else. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like,
So the opposite of Avatar.
I would imagine, based on your description, that is true. We are told, I think in the opening shot or opening scene, he is former military, and we come to find that he's driving a bus in his hometown of Paterson. My first thought was, okay, this is going to be about a guy suffering from PTSD. He's going to fly off the handle and have to deal with emotions that he never. No. It's it avoids all the obvious tropes and cliches of this kind of story.
Yeah. I agree. It does all that, yet I kept asking myself this question: is this interesting throughout the entire movie? And usually the answer would be no. It was, in a sense, a tone poem, a bit of a meditation, and at times I did feel myself getting lulled in by his performance. He was great.
He was great.
He was fantastic. He was the yin to his girlfriend's yang, who was
They're a great pair.
ultra annoying. I did not like her on screen at all, and I did not.
Well,
like
they were a
hearing-
great pair in the sense that they were the oil and vinegar.
They were, but this
They make
movie
a
was
good little salad dressing.
for me. It was missing like 3, 4, maybe 5 supporting characters that
Yeah.
were fun enough to
Could have rounded it out.
move
for sure.
this-
Make a
the
real
story
buff.
forward. He
Although,
had-
to be fair,
the bartender was there,
bartender-
but he was
the friend at the bar who actually goes through more trauma than Adam Driver's character himself.
Cheaty, that was Cheaty, the actor that plays Cheaty on The Good Place.
He was great.
Yeah.
And the would-be girlfriend, ex-girlfriend.
And the bus driver, the bus
His
boss,
supervisor.
his boss.
Yeah.
A couple funny lines.
I enjoyed him very
it's
much.
just so understated and so subtle. And I do think I was missing something because a lot of this is about poetry. And the bus driver and Adam Driver is writing poetry throughout, and in the way that we see it actually written out on the screen.
And I actually liked his diction. You know what I mean? It was a very
Driver's
specific.
great. He was perfect for this role, I think.
Right. But the way he read it, it was very specific. But for me, it worked.
Yeah, I mean, he worked as a character.
He
I
read
liked
it
him. I just
as
don't know if he
though
works.
He was writing it. You know what I mean? Like he read it. Almost. I made a lot of connections. I'm sorry to interrupt you. A lot of connections with Charles Bukowski. Now, stay with me on this one because both of them are sort of looking at the mundanity of everyday life, and Bukowski is doing it in a sort of drunken, hedonistic kind of way, and Adam Driver's character Paterson is doing it in a more, I don't know, everyman, observational kind of way, sober, I suppose you would say, but they both are representing a similar point of view.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying there, because Bukowski is a type of everyman.
Yeah.
And Adam Driver is a very different type of everyman.
Yeah,
in that
he's a
sense.
bus driver and,
Blue collar and
shitty New Jersey.
Yeah. Whereas one keeps his head down and moves forward. Bukowski was kind of his head up, screaming out loud. Actually, he a lot of Bukowski stuff, he kept his head down and just kept to himself. So that's an interesting parallel. I love that you love this movie, Brian. I thought for sure you were going to come in and really hate on it because it is very artsy.
No. I enjoyed this a lot, more than I expected.
So many fades to black.
Especially,
I gave up on Jarmusch a while ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Especially considering
for
the first 15, 20 minutes, I'm like, all right, I know what this is going to be. This is going to be this for another 90 minutes. And then it didn't defy my expectations in the sense that, yeah, it was that, but it was a really good version of that. And also, I don't know if you remember this or not, but I was a creative writing major in college, and I read a lot of fucking poetry, way more than I ever expected to in my early life, and I haven't read a lot in recent years or any, and it was kind of nice to just hear the prose. Well, I guess prose is the opposite, but to hear the verbiage and the phrasing and the
rhythm.
Yeah, the rhythm, exactly. Well,
stanzas.
Yeah.
Is that the?
There are stanzas.
The little girl. You like the little girl?
Oh, she was the one scene that she was in. Yeah, I liked her.
I kept thinking of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and how the little girl scene was far different in that movie than this movie.
I could have used more of her. You're right. The main flaw I would say with this movie is, even though Adam Driver is great and his character I found fairly compelling and interesting, could have used more. Could have used more color, more characters, more robust.
But that's the thing that makes it a Jarmusch movie is he doesn't have to. You get the sense that he doesn't really have to make a whole lot of compromises. This is not a movie that would ever get off the ground from pretty much anyone else.
Yeah.
It's got to be Jarmusch or even like David Lynch. If he were to bring this to some investors, they'd be like, all right, well, where's the pop? Where's the zing? Where's your it just doesn't have that. It's just such an understated film, and it's really going to work for some people. I guess that the girlfriend was supposed to be that zing, but for me, she was just nails on a chalkboard. Because I know that girl. I've dated girls like that, and they're really cute for the first couple of weeks, a month, and then they drive you insane with their
constantly vacillating interests. More than once, she called something her life dream.
Yeah.
Or it's my lifelong dream.
Yeah, and she's his polar opposite. I could see it.
She is well intentioned, but yes, that would be an effort to be with her.
Everything's black and white with her. I mean, there's
literally black and white.
Yeah, everything she does is black and white, and I wish that I liked this more. And in talking to Pete Abeyta, who
what did Pete say?
He thought that it was the least Anderson movie he could have could
Really?
have assigned me. He knew that I probably wouldn't
that.
like it. He didn't think I would like it at all, and he wasn't surprised to hear that I didn't fall for this movie. I didn't, but because of his performance, I think I'm talking about Adam Driver. It made it palatable. I could sit through it. I wasn't suffering through this movie. However, I definitely wanted more.
It's a tough recommend too, because people are going to hear us talk mostly positively about it, and maybe go check it out. It's guys, adjust your expectations. This is a quiet, deliberately paced film, and it's good, but do not expect to be wowed.
No, there's no wow. Very, very little. And I kept waiting for something to happen, and nothing
Me too.
really does. I was kind of worried that something was going to happen because in the rating, like it comes on the screen, when you're watching it at home, and it says, it's rated R, I think, for like violence, and I'm like,
is there like sexual situations that are like, where, when?
Yeah, they're laying in bed together a couple times, fully clothed, or at least under blankets. There's no motion. There's nothing. So yeah,
they're not doing it.
No, they're not doing it, Brian. But I'm glad you liked it. I'm very glad you liked it.
Yeah,
and
me
some
too.
people listening to this love it. You've seen it, or you would love it, but you got to know what kind of movie you're getting into. And like Brian said, I don't think this movie's for everybody.
It's not, and it's a tough recommend. But I think if you're in the demo for this.
But it's only been 3-4
Did I say
days.
streaming on Prime? Was it Prime?
I don't think you
Prime,
did.
But 96% Rotten Tomatoes.
I don't know if these characters are going to stick with me. I don't know if they will.
I like Paterson.
I think my favorite part of the
Himself.
entire movie were the gangster guys that talked to him about his dog.
Yeah, that's right.
It's so out of left field, and that's very, very Jarmusch. He's got some random little vignettes that he throws in with interesting characters.
And there's always a little bit of like, oh, where's this going to go? Oh, nowhere.
Yeah, and they set it up. Once again, it's like the anti-Chekhovs, because like they set it up for like this dog napping, and like why? Just to put you on edge a little bit? Just to prove that nothing ever happened? I mean, the most exciting thing that happens in this movie is his bus breaks down. That's the most exciting...
It's pretty good.
Challenging thing.
And he has to herd the old people and the kids.
Yeah. Get away from the bus. And then the recurring, like, it could have turned into a fireball. Like, that was supposed to be a big joke. And I'm sure that the Jarmusch heads in the theater that saw this opening weekend were probably, that's my hell, watching this with a bunch of Jarmusch faithfuls opening weekend in the theater. It's as bad as Wes Anderson fans who are laughing at like the nothingness of things. But yeah, it's not the worst thing that happened in the movie. There's something that happens a little bit later, but I think you could see that happening too, right? That was telegraphed.
Give me a hit.
With the couch and what was left on the couch. All right, we'll leave it at that.
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't a surprise at all. And that could have been a bit of a gut punch. And like he telegraphed that on purpose. Just to not, the movie's kind of,
Well, it's funny because in any other movie that would be a massive gut punch to the viewer and especially the character, Paterson is so
unfazed.
One note. He's like, yeah, whatever.
I would like to be Paterson in another life where nothing affects me.
I could drive a bus and be happy for the rest of my life.
He's got big feet.
Good
for bus driving.
Go to a bar.
His girlfriend astutely points that out. Your feet are so good. I bet they're so big. I bet they're really good for bus driving. He's like, I suppose they are.
He seemed tempered. Like what I mean is like there was rage bubbling below the surface at any time.
We were so conditioned to wait for like a character to snap, but just to let you know, there's no snapping here.
Even when he'd be justified.
Yes. Like there could have been dog murder in this movie, and even in my state, I might have been like, I could see that. Yeah, I could sign off on that.
That dog violated sacred oath.
All right, let's
Should we do a quick break?
Yeah, let's do a quick break.
Quick break.
What do we have this break? Anything important?
Oh, Jesus Christ, Brian. You know how things work in life? Yeah, I don't think you do. Quick little break, and we'll be right back.
All right, guys. One last Flickfession from me, and
it's the last one of the year, Brian. Make it count.
Oh, this is going to be painful
Is it worth it?
you won't be interested. It will lead nicely into our top five. This is a nice segue into our top five later this week. Top five odd musical choices brought to us by Mr.
Mitch Tobias.
I saw a documentary that was recommended by several people who know my several people who know my affinity for James Bond films. The Sound of 007. The Sound of 007. Anderson, I got a nice carrot on the end of the stick for you. Stick around for this.
Does he get to hit you with the stick?
Oh no, Duran featured prominently. Prominently.
Because of A View to a Kill?
Because View to a Kill is the most successful James Bond theme ever, at least commercially.
Really?
It's because Duran was massive.
Yeah,
at the time.
exactly. And they approached the producers.
Yeah.
They were the ones, they interview a couple of fucks from the band. Let me get into it in a second. Directed by Matt Whitecross, interviews with Billy Eilish.
That name says a lot.
Hans Zimmer.
Whitecross.
That's right. Sam Smith, Daniel Craig, Tina Turner, some fucks from Duran Duran, and of course, Shirley Bassey. There is no Rotten Tomato score
Who's
for
Bassey?
Shirley Bassey is the most famous. She did Goldfinger.
That one's great.
Yeah, all
Sam
the classic.
Smith's one sucks.
I thought Sam Smith's is okay.
Sucks.
The writing.
Terrible.
I
Terrible.
thought it was middle of the road,
Ah.
middle of the pack. I didn't think it was bad.
Might be the worst part of the movie.
I was really saying something. That's Spectre, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Spectre wasn't good.
But the Day of the Dead parade right at the beginning is
That's pretty sweet. Oh boy,
You know what I'm gonna do?
we got a lot to say here. Anyway, there's no Rotten Tomato score, but it is 7.4 on IMDb, a respectable IMDb score. It's a very standard documentary, Anderson, in some parts, as you can imagine. This is basically talking to musicians and composers and singers and actors and producers about actors and producers about the music of 007, both the score and the soundtrack, the songs, the iconic theme songs. Of course, they have incredible access. This could have been a extra feature on a DVD release of
the full Daniel Craig
No,
box set
no
now.
Time to, because this is a lot of No Time to Die, with Billie Eilish is featured throughout. So of course you have that incredible access. That said, admirably, I really respected this documentary because they spend more than a little time on songs that did not work, like the worst James Bond songs. And you would think, oh, they'd either just ignore those or give them lip service.
Yeah.
And they really dove in and like talked about, oh, this song didn't work for this reason, and this song, frankly, wasn't the best. They're being polite. They're British, so stiff up British, like, wasn't the best representation of a James Bond song. And it's like, no, that song sucks. And to their credit, they really acknowledged and embraced and dove into that part. Anderson, this part's for you. They fucking slobber all over Duran Duran. There's a whole section where it's just how big and massive it was, introduced 007 to a new audience, etc. One of the worst films, by the way. But
That was the horrible one you described.
A View to a Kill with
With the
Christopher Walken.
snowboarding? Is that what you were
Yeah,
saying?
with the opening skiing. That's right.
It was on my list just a couple
Oh,
weeks
Anderson.
ago. Yeah. With they start playing the Beach Boys song.
California
Snowboarding.
Girls. So bad. So that's good. I disagree. I personally like the Aha song, The Living Daylights. They refer to it as not one of the best songs. I thought it was actually one of the better ones.
Subjective.
Subjective.
Did you get McCartney in here?
Oh, lots of McCartney. I mean, it's an hour and 40 minutes of celebrating James Bond. So a lot of Shirley Bassey. I didn't hear his. There's always blind spots, and I think I just forgotten, or maybe I never really knew. Louis Armstrong did a James Bond song for
Which one?
Thunderball.
I don't think I've seen that
All
one.
the time in the world. I
I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, really? It's one of the better ones. I mean, for that era.
Is it Connery?
Yeah,
I need to see
it's the
more
fourth-
Connery.
it's
I
the
think
fourth
I've seen
film.
probably the least
manhandles.
Connery, which is
Manhandles a lot.
a mistake.
A lot of manhandles.
I've seen
Yes, there's a lot
more.
of putting broads in their place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Birds.
I always thought, because I hadn't really seen a ton of James Bond until the last couple of years, and I thought across the board, pretty misogynistic. You gotta overlook some stuff. Not really. It's really just the Connery ones.
Oh,
it's
really?
almost exclusively
Isn't
the
it just the
Connery
era?
ones. But the Moore ones aren't like that, and neither are the Dalton's not like that. Lazenby's not like that.
That's
Brosnan's
interesting.
not.
To my mind,
It's just
Okay,
the
all right.
Connery ones,
I haven't studied it.
and the
but-
rest are pretty kind of
even-handed?
boilerplate and kind of like the female character should have more to do.
Okay.
But Connery is the one where it's just out and out. He's just raping
Disposable
people.
weapon, yeah,
what the
yeah.
fuck is going on? But it's just Connery.
So, oh fuck, I forgot to write. I think
He
it's
said,
on.
I'll do James Bond if I can do it my way. He was the first James Bond, though, right?
Yeah, he was.
Well, maybe he just misinterpreted.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah. He had nothing to go off. Except for the books. Maybe the books are real rapey. Have we studied the books?
I've not read Ian Fleming's
If you are
novels.
such a massive fan, how have you not dipped your toe?
You know what? That's interesting.
It is. It's a very interesting point.
I have a good friend who's a bigger Bond fan than me. He's read the books. Apparently, very slow. Very.
You love Paterson.
I know. And you know what? I think I might have mentioned this before. A long time ago, early in his career, Quentin Tarantino made a little bit of noise. He wanted to do a James Bond film, but his quote was,
Samuel L. Jackson has to be James Bond.
That would have been
I don't
pretty
think
good.
he had a lot of thoughts on casting at the time, but he definitely wanted to. He said he wanted to do it like the novels, a lot of voiceover, a very slow pace, and a quieter movie. And I don't think the studio was interested in that.
Oh yeah, they realized that their fan base would not go for that.
That was not-
but their fan base would go for Tarantino, so they'd be.
That's true. They got a new fan base.
They just walk out kind of confused. Like, am I supposed to like this?
Like with Duran Duran.
What do I do?
This is streaming on Amazon
I can tell you the
Prime.
Duran Duran thing worked because
Amazon
my little
Prime,
brother and I were there
Prime.
first in line to see this stupid movie.
Did
View to
the
a Kill.
song play once?
Yeah, I played at the very end. I had to suffer through all of that, and I played at the credits. Yeah,
Brutal.
I
That's
did-
kind of like, although I
I was a child.
That was me with Snatch. Because I'm like,
Snatch has never played in your
like
life.
there's an Oasis song in that movie.
And
That's at the
it
end.
played at the end.
Yeah. But it's a good, I love Snatch, so that was different.
Is it like our sound alike from Garth
It is
Baldwin?
very similar, yes.
Grant Baldwin. I call him Garth. Sorry, Grant, if you're listening. I called you.
Would you like to hear him side
Garth
by
is
side?
my other filmmaker friend from afar, and I mixed up your names. I apologize. Yeah, Grant Baldwin, filmmaker, and he's also the provider of. We owe him a movie. We got to watch one of his movies.
By the way, we didn't talk about Columbus. Oh my God, we're remiss. We're remiss.
Yeah, I talked a lot about Columbus on the old AD over there, and yeah, Mike and I made it through. My God,
Columbus,
All right, so
what?
I had to go to Columbus.
We
For,
did a
Oh,
3 or 4 day corporate gig.
yeah,
I thought an actor or
you.
a director died.
no. All right,
It's like, who's
All
this
right,
Columbus?
Chris
guy?
Columbus.
That's
you
what I
hear
was.
about R.I.P. All right, you guys, check out later in the week top 5 odd musical choices. I'm excited for this one. A lot of clips on my
yeah, I got a lot of clips as well, and I went from something that just absolutely didn't work to a bunch of others that are out of left field, but they work. ultimately.
Same. I have a few that didn't work and a few that worked. Excited for this. In the meantime, hold on, let me look up Avery's notes. Yes, here we go. Thanks, Pete Abeyta, for assigning us Paterson. A nice find, a nice little discovery that I sadly did not know much about or anything. The Ocean is Mistress is our feature artist this week.
That was on purpose. I was pretty proud of that.
Oh, not bad.
Pretty proud of that.
Way of Water. All right, check them out, AndersonandBryan.com.
Well
AndersonandBryan.com is the website. That's where you got to find out information on the feature artists. Keep tapping that Amazon. Oh, excuse me, guys. Merry Christmas, by the way. Wait, this is going to come out after Christmas, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So Happy New Year. This is the last show
Indeed.
we're doing of 2022, the last
right.
Flickfession episode.
And you got those gift cards for Amazon to spend. So consider using our Amazon banner, AndersonandBryan.com. Anderson and Bryan is the Instagram. Facebook is the Film Vault. Twitter is the Film Vault. YouTube, the Film Vault podcast. Thanks, Patreon listeners. We love you and appreciate you. I don't know if I love you. I mean, I saved
do.
that for my... Oh, how nice. Save that for my family.
Oh, and someone please call me a douche for Christmas. It's kind of a tradition now.
Oh, is that how it goes? All right, cool. I can do
There's a lot of things. Douche, he's not.
Thanks, Giovanni. Thanks, Jordan Wolf. Thanks, Jordan Montgomery, Mitch Burns, Mike Cole, and Eric Kath. Check out Addie's Antiques. I imagine you guys got a little bit of traffic for the holiday.
Yeah, we were out of town, though, for a lot of it, which was unfortunate. Terrible timing. What are you going to do? The wife only turns that age once, so I had to get out of town for it.
Invade the Decade is Avery's podcast. So check that out. No dates I have to assume.
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing till the new year.
Invade the Decade, like I said, is Avery's podcast. Check it out wherever you can. And until next time.
We do it for Van Gogh.